Hi guys, Terry here of Terry's Food Therapy. Welcome back to the Food Therapy Kitchen. And today I will be showing you all how to cook a stewed chicken. So I'm showing you how to break down the whole chicken. I'm showing you how to stew the chicken from scratch. And I already showed you all in my previous video how to make the green seasoning. So we're going to be all using all that good stuff to create this delicious dish. Of course, let's get started on the recipe without further ado. Okay, so here's my chicken. At the chicken shop, they would have already, or poultry shop, they would have already removed the chicken feet as well as the gizzard and the heart. I'm gonna set that aside, but in this house, we eat chicken feet, so I will definitely be cooking that. But if you don't like it, you can go ahead and remove it. And I have my chicken here that I already washed once, and now I'm gonna use my very sharp knife. Ensure that your knife is sharp, because we're gonna need to break down this chicken. We're gonna be cutting through bone and such for stew chicken, because it's not just quarters. We're gonna break down the quarters even further to get smaller pieces to stew the chicken.
So we start cutting up the chicken by first breaking it down into quarters. So I start off with the leg and thighs. So I just make my cuts there, and then I remove it by the joints, cutting in between the bone and cartilage, and we just set each piece aside as we cut up the quarters. So basically just break down larger pieces initially, and then we break down the quarters into smaller pieces. I also remove the neck, which I will also be cooking. We love bony pieces of chicken in my house, so that definitely is going into the stew. I remove the wing and drummet, both wings and drummet, and then I cut off the breast and remove it from the back. Then I start breaking down the breast first. So I'm gonna cut up each breast into 3 pieces, but as we cut up the chicken, we're gonna be removing fat and skin off of it. I usually just leave the skin on the pieces, such as the wings and the drums, as well as the legs, but I remove it from off of the breast. I cut each piece of breast into 3 pieces, and I'm just removing the wing and the drummet here. Again, cleaning the chicken as I go, removing feathers or any fat pieces that you see on the chicken. My legs I also break down into about 2 pieces, so I just remove the top of the legs, breaking it down into 2 pieces. And the thighs, I'll also be removing the skin and the fat, because we know the thighs usually has the most fat, so we just clean all over the thighs, remove the skin, and then I cut my thighs into about 2, maybe 3 pieces depending on the size of the chicken. But this chicken is about 6 pounds, so I cut it into 2. Then I break down the back piece into about 6 pieces. I usually leave the skin on the back piece, but most importantly, we're going to remove the fat as well as the blood and gut buildup. Well, not guts, but the blood buildup in the backbone. Remove all that gunk. Then I place my pieces of chicken in a bowl. Usually I do this by the sink to make sure everything is cleaned out, but I'm gonna wash it here so that you all can see the washing process on camera. I'm using vinegar, but you can use also flour as well as lime, or you can use a combination of all 3, and you just wash off the pieces. Then I rinse this once more in fresh water, remove it from the water, place it into a clean bowl, and season it with green seasoning, salt and black pepper, and then let that marinate for a few minutes. While it's marinating, I'm gonna go ahead and get what we call browning, which is basically caramelized sugar, ready. So to my hot pan, I'm gonna add my brown sugar, and I'm just gonna let it start to liquefy. While it's liquefying here, I'm just mixing it up to ensure all of the sugar is breaking down. And once it's nice and frothy and a really nice golden caramel color, I add in my chicken, and I'm gonna let it cook down in that sugar for a few minutes until it begins really absorbing that nice brown color. So I'm just gonna let it release its own liquids, its own juices, let it cook down for a bit before I add in my aromatics. So here I'm adding some diced onions, some minced garlic, some pimento peppers, some hot pepper, thyme, and some bay leaf, and I'm just gonna mix that in really well. And then to my bowl that I had the chicken seasoning in, I add some water, and I'm gonna pour that into the chicken, let that cook down. When the chicken is thoroughly cooked, then I add in a little bit of butter and some ketchup, and then I season it with more salt to taste, and that is basically it. Falling off the bone, flavor is immaculate. That is the full stew chicken recipe.
And there we have it, guys, my first stew chicken recipe. You can find all the recipe details linked below. I'll also link the recipe for the green seasoning below, so you guys can go ahead and check that out. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more awesome videos, and of course, until next time, bye.